Welcome back, champions. It's Alliance War Season 59, War number 5. I've got 8 fights lined up on this one. Well, technically 7 of them on camera. I missed a recording on one, but I'll explain what happened. Overall, this war is not the prettiest, but the team is solid. I'm bringing in Ironheart, Moleman, and Vox. So let's jump in and see how this all plays out. And to start things off, I'm going to be taking on this Peni Parker, and I'm fully expecting this to be a slow fight. I don't expect to break any speed records when fighting Peni. You know, the plan here is just to stack on the ruptures, hit into her shield when she gives me the openings, try to keep her, whatever they are, shield charges down so that we don't get auto blocked too much. You know, that's kind of the whole plan there. You know, we got a couple auto blocks in. Not the end of the world if it happens. Just like I said, just trying to keep the charges down, trying to keep her shield off. I figure if I can stack on a bunch of ruptures when I'm hitting into her shield and she does her auto block, that gives me just some damage that's going on while it's happening. Here we bait a special 2, which is really what I'm wanting to do until I get her shield down. And then once we get her shield down, then I can bait special 1s and counter those. So here we kind of play it the way we're supposed to. We slow down, we start hitting into her block. You know, now she throws a special 1. You know, it's a kind of a slow fight no matter what you do in this. Now her shield is completely down. Now I can feel free to hit as much as I want, but I still do medium like medium. And then we're going to go here into a full combo, into a special 1. We don't really have that many ruptures on there, so, you know, I don't expect this to tick her the whole way down. I do need to hit her a couple more times, and there we go. So, you know, lost some health, but we got a full attack bonus out of it, which I'll take. And now a fight I kind of took for granted. You know, it's just Doom, right? Well, yes. We're going to be using Moleman here, and, you know, the main reason being is Moleman is shock immune, and I need him in another fight. So it just kind of worked out. And here the plan is to, you know, just parry heavy a few times, get into frenzy. There, I'm not sure exactly what happened. You know, I got the parry in. I didn't think I was going to get the parry, so I stood there, and then he hit into my block, and that kind of messed up my whole timing and my whole fight. We are going to, you know, try to bait out a special 2 here while we're still in frenzy, but of course, he waits long enough that we lose our frenzy, and then of course we get hit as well. So, you know, this is just kind of going ugly. It just isn't going pretty here. We got pushed to a special 3, so now we have to throw a special 3. Oh, I had forgotten how much of a pain in the butt fighting Doom would be. You know, it's a slow slog, even as him just being a 6-star. I'm glad he's not a 7-star yet. There, we completely whiff on the decks of the special. Like I said early on, this one is not the prettiest of wars. So here, we completely forgot about his aura. We try to throw a heavy, we get hit. Fortunately, we do not get hit by the special 2. Just get me out of this fight. That's all I'm thinking at this point. Let's get a clean dex. Hey, we got a clean dex. He's got the aura up, so we can't throw our special 2. We can't throw a heavy. We can't do much of anything. We're glancing. We're doing a little bit of everything here. Let's push him to another special 2. Let's try to just make it through this fight. Okay, there's no aura. There, he can hit into my block. I can go into frenzy. I'm going to throw a special 3 and take a deep breath. Try to relax here a little bit during the animation. Hope this kind of finishes him off, but it leaves me just short. But we do have some bleeds on there that finish him off. And well, like I said, ugly fight, full attack bonus. Let's move on. And move on we do. We heal up Moleman and we take on this Void right here. And for a quick fight, this one also turns very ugly very quickly. So here we go. You know, plan here, we're not going to parry heavy. We're just going to hit into him. We want to save all the ability to shrug off debuffs. You know, even if the fight is slower, you know, you can see there, we shrug it off quick. He puts the debuff on, I shrug it off, which is perfectly fine. Now he throws a special. What I didn't account for in this fight was those debuffs from the special, I can't shrug off. And you can see I am chunking down fast. Fortunately, so is he, and we get through that fight. But man, lost 50% of my health very, very quickly there. All right, and now we jump back in here for Dust. Last war, this didn't go very well. This time, hopefully it goes a little bit better. I've had kind of an ugly start, a rough start for me. No deaths, but just, not pretty. Having to heal up a bunch. It's just not been a great war. So here we do get, a nice clean parry. We're playing this the way it should. We're not getting any dust on us. Now we just need her to come in so I can get one more parry into a 4-hit combo to get over 10, just in case the Power Sting got on there. It got on there a second after I threw it. Not a big deal. So we now have some Incinerates going. Now we just need her to play in. I'm playing a little safe there so that, when I have the two debuffs on there, that I'm not parrying her and possibly getting another dust and getting that third and throwing her unblockable. So here, we don't have the Power Sting on. We've just got the heal block, so we can, freely combo, freely throw a special. We're doing a good job at this point, 50 seconds in, managing everything on the node. Here, I'm just playing cautious. Once again, had two debuffs, didn't need a third. There, she finally throws a special. We're going to go for our full 5-hit combo into a striker, into another combo, and if we had to, we would throw a special one at the end of that because we took off the Power Sting. We didn't need it, though. All right, time for some mini bosses. This has been a war of champions I don't fight very often, and this is an Iron Man Infinity War. I don't know when the last time I fought Iron Man in war was, but it's been a while. So here I'm using Box simply because I figure the degens I put on them can tick them down while the Footloose node is active. So here we throw this a little bit early. I'm not sure exactly why I did. I just kind of did. Hindsight, probably wouldn't have done it this early, but here, we do make up for it. We do bring those degens back to us. We get all the buffs on there. I think a lot of it was the rich get richer node. I was trying to make sure that I didn't gain too much power. And here, we go to a special 2. Hoping to throw special 1s, but, whatever. We put on 19 degens. Here, he does get the rich get richer node, so he is gaining power a little bit. Now, don't think the 19 would have finished them off. They very well may have, but we decided we were going to go ahead and bring those back. And then all we need to do is get off one more special here. And there it is. And now we put all those degens back on there, 28 of them, and he's just going to tick down. Now we just have to stay away, don't get hit, and that's a nice clean box fight on this node. Now, after this fight, I did take on Null on node 42 using Moleman. For whatever reason, it did not record. I had taken a little bit of a break in between doing IMIW and going to do that fight, and I thought I hit record, but when I went to stop the recording, I noticed it had never started. So I did take one death there. I got smacked by a special 2 and just, wasn't the greatest fight once again on this, so I did drop one there. But we're going to try to recover here. We're going to be using Box on this Iron Man, or on this future Ant-Man. And, well, as, most things in this war, it did not go pretty. There he gets the unstoppable. I did notice it, but the problem is I did not notice I had the falter on me. And if you'll notice in this fight, I am faltered probably 90% of the time. Here I just tried to throw a special to see if I can get some degens going, and even that went into the unstoppable. Now I'm faltered again. Fortunately, Box doesn't care sometimes, and that's kind of why I was using him here. There, we're finally starting to get some hits in. I'm faltered again. Fortunately, it's while he's throwing a special. That's 90% of this fight is I'm faltered. I should have done a 4-hit combo there. We finally get some degens going and ticking on this guy. This is kind of what I envisioned this fight being. Not having to hit him a whole lot, getting the degens on there, letting those do some work. There's no way I'm going to get him back. There, I'm faltered again. It is just so much to keep track of. There's that unstoppable timer on there. There's the falter. There is, just, to me, I don't know why I ever volunteered to take this node. It's not my favorite. There's just, for me, too much going on both sides of the bar there for me to be able to cleanly do this fight. So you can see I'm throwing a lot of heavies now just to try and keep the falter off. You know, we're putting what degens we can on. I've just gone to this kind of parry heavy approach at this point. Now I'm faltered again. I don't notice it until it's too late. So yeah, you know, I had been doing a good job of doing the parry heavies, knocking them down, keeping the falter off. But as happens most times on that node, I end up getting hit by it, and it's unfortunate. So, you know, I decide, well, maybe Vox isn't the way. Maybe I go in with Ironheart, and, well, you know, we get up enough debuffs on there, I can't mess with the falter. Probably should have done that from the beginning, but you'll see here, that doesn't always guarantee anything either. There, now I got him with the falter. Got a few debuffs up. Now I've got the falter. It's just, you know, to me, this node is just, you know, there, I thought I was going to be able to get a special one off before the falter. I don't. I get countered. You know, to me, this is just an ugly fight. There's another falter. I just can't get enough debuffs on there. Now I finally got it. You can see up there, I've got the little eyeball on there. I can now hit him. And of course, I lose track of the unstoppable. At this point, I'm just begging, please, 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 let me out of this fight. I don't ever want to do this node again, although I probably will. I've got to learn at some point, right? Let's hope. So here we go, 3%, 1%, we're out. Let's move on. And, you know, just because the war hasn't been a pain in the butt enough, I decide I'm going to take on this rank 4 Zola on this lovely Stunning Reflect Polka Dot Power Brute Force node. Should be fun, right? Well, at least Ironheart can turn off part of the node and, well, is a decent counter for Zola because she can parry him. So, you know, it is now just a matter of, can I do this fight? Can I pay attention to the number of charges he's got so I don't get put to sleep? Can I balance the brute force? Can I balance everything else? You know, keeping incinerates on, watching the stun timer, dexing his specials. We'll see how it goes. You know, so good start so far there. Well, what did I say? Could I pay attention to the stun timer? Apparently I cannot. So we do take a few hits there. Let's hope we can do a little bit better the rest of the way. Hey, guess what? We can't. We get smacked again. Well, we're you know, 45, 50 seconds in. Well, we're down low. Fortunately, we do have a heal that'll heal us up. He's at 50%. I'm figuring, okay, you know what? There's no way I can solo this fight. There's just no way. It's not going to happen. Then I push him to a special 2, which is going to put disintegration on me, which is going to chunk me down even more. Here, we get up to a special 2. Don't really want to throw a special 2. Would prefer to throw a special 1. I'm down to 10%, and we're just gonna see what we can do here. Fortunately, we get put to sleep. He only hits us twice. I throw a random special 1, and well, the incinerates and all that do just enough damage to take him down. Now, if you noticed on there, I was, you know, somewhere around 1% health. Let's just see how close that ended up being. So in order to do that, we need to move ahead into this onslaught fight. And well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I finished that fight with 121 health. Thank goodness that one's over. Easily one of the ugliest wars I've had in a long, long time. Like I said at the end of the last video, good thing we don't push in war, and I'm just out here doing these fights for fun. If you enjoyed the chaos, please hit that like, subscribe, and feel free to drop me a comment down below. I do always appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and take care all.